Hello everyone, I'm Gottfried Karl Heinrich Hofmann, and this is the first time that I'm doing a screencast for my own website, BlenderDiplom.com. And once again, poor Suzanne is gonna be our guinea pig for a really cool effect, and she's gonna be dissolved in a rather stylized fashion. And yeah, here's an overview of the final scene. Here you see Suzanne, and she is already about to crack up. Around her are a few lights. Those are very important because they are the source for all the color in the scene. And Suzanne, of course, has a few modifiers applied. Yeah, one, two, three, four. That's quite a bunch. And here, of course, a particle system where we are gonna really go into the details of the settings. And the most important part is a force field in the middle of the sand, and we are also going to go into the details here. There, of course, a little bit of compositing is involved, but I try to keep it at a minimum. So yeah, let's go. So here is our default scene. Let's get rid of the cube and add a monkey. Rotate her 90 degrees around the x-axis, and let's select the camera, hit Alt R to clear the rotation and Alt G to clear the location. With G and Y you can set it back a little, and now R and 90 degrees, R X 90 degrees to rotate it around the x-axis, hit 0 on the numpad and you're there. Then let's select the sand, hit Ctrl and 3 to add a subsurf modifier. Then I'm gonna get rid of this lamp here. Select, delete, and check the world settings. Let's make the horizon completely black and turn on environment lighting by 0.2. I guess it's cool. And first test render, yeah, 0.2, not 2, 0.2. Okay, yeah, this is how it's supposed to look. And then I'm gonna add a few lamps, area lights, 3 of them to be precise. So here's the first one, a second one, and a third one. So let's see where they are pointing. This one should go a little downwards and are, of course, towards the sun, and this one should be a little from upwards, are, and of course also towards the sun, and this one should be a little less from the top, and are, let's rotate it around here. Okay, let's see how they are rotated from this perspective. I see, this one should be a little more there. Let's point it here. This one, let's put it here, and this one, let's rotate it this way so it's towards the face. And now, of course, they all should have less energy at very first. And of course also a lot less of a distance, just about that they're pointing towards the sand. So whoa, and this one also change the distance, and now let's select the colors. Those two should be a little bit of get a little bit of an orangey tint, maybe in different kinds of orange. Okay, and the front one very subtle bluish for the metallic look we're heading for. And once again a test render. Forgot to set smooth. Poor Suzanne, of course she's smooth. And let's give all those area point side um, area point back and area point front, so we can find them later on in the outliner. And let's see again. Not much yet, but let's see how things are looking once we're giving her a material, a little less intense please, with a lot darker and a slight tint off. Let's go towards the greenish direction. And yeah, I guess we're heading pretty right. Oh, and the specularity should be changed to some bluish. And we're gonna later use textures to control this, so this is all still preparational stuff. And now I guess Suzanne, our good old monkey, wants some texture, so let's first add a simple cloud texture. Cloud. And another cloud texture, cloud point small. Snack. Also cool. And the first cloud texture, yeah, depth of 2, size of 0.25. Yeah, let's see how things are going. I guess with a little bit more contrast, things are going a lot better. And don't change the colors, just the normal. And a little bit less than this. And yeah, let's see. Yeah, we got a lot of bumps and dents. And to make the look a little better, choose the second cloud texture, make it a lot smaller. And this is also not gonna affect the color, but once again the geometry, but towards the other direction. And this should give us a nice one-off look. If, let me pause this for a moment. Got it. Size was a little off. It's always a problem with setting the right size. At least for me, very often I hit it 10 times too big or 10 times too small. But well, yeah, this is how it should look. And yeah, the rest we need to set up around the lights and the material. Because I guess the material might be a little bit too strong towards this direction. A little too much off. And yeah, let's work a little bit more on the specularity. Let's add another texture. 3 point back. Here we go, Stucci, or maybe a little smaller. And this time, yeah, maybe a little on the color too, but mainly on the specularity. And for the color, let's choose one that's in the opposite direction and also very dark. And let's see where things are going. That's a lot better regarding the specularity already, I think. And now let's see how things are going to with the lights. Yeah, this is the most important one, and I guess that it could take a little more energy. And it's okay to have here a few blown out highlights. And another thing I notice is that we got here a few, here it's yellow and it's coming from the light that's on the other side, so something is wrong, and let's fix it. We don't have ray shadow turned on for all the lights coming from the back, and if you turn this on for both of them, things should change. Yeah, now those parts have gone. And yeah, this is Yeah, this is going pretty. It's okay. It's decent. I'm pretty sure really cool guys can work a lot more on this metallic shader, and this is just a small example. Yeah, you could also use a more shader that's more towards, let's say, red stone or something. But the key concept is to have lightning, the lighting color you see in this case. So later on, the sharks that are floating around also get a nice coloring compare relative to the lights where they are flying, and this will look pretty cool. So if you want, of course, you can work on more on this, but let's go to the next part. While things were encoding, I worked a little bit more on the color and the lighting. If you want to get the settings, check the blend file. I'm offering it for download. And now let's get on to the next part, and that's adding a particle system to Cezanne. That's gonna give us the basis for the explosion. It's because the particles will define where the sharks are gonna fly. And we need at least as many particles as the number of faces we got, and here we got 31488 faces, so let's add this in the number of particles, 31488. Let them both start at the same time, first frame, and lifetime 249, because in the last frame there shouldn't be any particles alive. And the random value of 0.2 will make a few particles die early, and the others will live until the end. Under distribution, the particles per phase shouldn't be changed, because you might want to change this to 1, but if you do so, things will get completely messed up, so just keep it this way. Now, we don't want any initial velocity, we want them to stay exactly where the phases are. And regarding the rotation, let's turn on dynamic. So later on, when the force field comes into play, they are rotating nicely. And the physics is actually correct currently. On the render side, let's turn off the rendering, because we want only the shards to be displayed. But we can still display the particles, so they look currently nicely. We don't need any children. And in the field weights, turn off gravity so they don't fall down. And yeah, that's the basic setup. And now the next big thing will be, let's add a force field, a turbulence, and turn down the strength to 0 and insert a keyframe. And the size, I had the size at 0.55. And also I added a little bit of flow, 1.75, I guess. Yeah. And what's the flow gonna do, you'll see shortly. Next thing is that I'm going to frame number 10. Once again, insert a keyframe for the strength, and up 5 frames and change the strength to 1.5. And of course, keyframe again, and this way the dissolving will start very subtle and smooth and become stronger within the ratio of 5 frames. And now let's select her again, and let's check the cache and turn down the cache step size to 1, which I'm do really often. This cache with a light compression, and let's bake things. And I'm gonna pause the recording once again. So I just baked the stuff, and now let's see how things are looking. And yeah, the particles start to move once the force field comes into play. And look at the movement. This turbulence force field is just three-dimensional noise with directions for the particles, where they are going. And the more of this flow, the more flow you turn on, the more they are following the path, and the less you have, the more they are spreading out, because they are affected by the force and keep their impulse, while flow will make them change the impulse like if they were in air, and this was airflow though. So to get a cool force field, cool look, you just need to find a good value for both flow and the strength. And of course, the size just means how big those, also how detailed the paths are. And this one is a value that's, I think, really good for this monkey here. And yeah, later on I'll show you a few examples of different settings for strength and flow, so you can get a little bit of a feeling of this setting. Okay, that's for the particles and the force field. Now the next big thing, of course, is getting the mesh to dissolve. And this can be done by an explode modifier in Blender. It's pretty simple. Let's not render the dead particles, but that's it. And now when we turn this on and it hits the 10 frames, yep, this time the particles are moving with the shards, or the shards with the particles. Yep, and here looks kind of cool. Let's turn on the 3 subdivisions for the render too. And now let's see how this is looking. And yeah, pretty cool, right? Of course, when it's in motion, it's a lot better. But one thing you might want to do is turn on another modifier, and that's the solidify modifier to make the shards 3-dimensional. And let's work on the thickness first. Let's have even thickness, high quality normals. And now we should have pretty cool shards that are not just thin like paper, but really have some, yeah, they are like almost like cubes if you look at them, which makes things look better, but not perfect. There are a few things that are not so cool currently. And take a look at it while we're in the first place, where they are still all at the same, or in the original place. And yeah, just take a look at how things are looking. What happened? Well, the solidify destroys the mesh, and thus the vertex normals get messed up, but you can easily fix this by turning the shading to flat. No. Let's see how things are looking now. And I'm pretty sure everything will be gone and there won't be any difference towards the normal look with smooth shading, and that's because here, pretty cool, right? And why is this working? Well, it's a little different, but you don't really notice, I say. And how's this working? Well, the textures we got there on our monkey, they change the surface normals, but not the vertex normals. So yeah, we don't have this flat look anymore, but absolutely no problem with the explode modifier. And now let's see how the shards will be looking out, because I say that they are looking a lot better now. Wow, rendering time is steep now, and that's also because flat shading takes actually longer to render due to higher amount of memory usage and a little bit more computations. But things are looking really cool now, and I guess the next thing will be just a little bit of compositing. So let's use nodes, backdrop, and just add a vector blur, and that's it. So filter, vector blur, and yeah, we need to turn on vector for our layer now. So let's add C to C and speed to speed and do a new render and output viewer. Perfect. This blur, let's take it to the maximum of 2, which means it will be blurred over 2 frames, and the samples up to 64, just looks better. Turn on curved, and now let's render again. Of course, this will take a little longer, but this should really add a little bit of extra interest, and then I think the effect is already finished. Really, really cool. And how's it going? How's it going? Ah, it's very subtle, but a little blur has been added. Let's put the viewer. Let's check if there's any difference to the original. Yeah, subtle but better. And one thing you might want to notice is when you're working with the vector blur in this case, the first frames will look a little, let's say, weird, because the first vectors aren't there yet, so the for every particle, I guess it will get a rather spiky look, because yeah, they are just not there. So let's start the animation on the third frame. Let's go to default, and if we start rendering at frame number 3, everything should be okay. And that's actually also the reason why I didn't start the animation at the very beginning, but at a few later frames. I guess the best frame to start the animation of the force field, if you really want to save render time and add the pause at the beginning, maybe in the video sequencer or something, would be frame number 5. But yeah, all is cool now, and we got our beautiful effect. And now let me show a few different versions of the very same effect. So, well, one thing is left that I want to show you, and that's how to fade out the shrapnel nicely. You can achieve this now with the explode modifier. It's a new feature just recently added by Chaka, really cool. And that's here. You can specify a UV texture, and you can add a texture to it, and this texture defines how certain aspects of the certain properties of the material are changing over the lifetime of the particle. So let's add a new UV texture. No need to unwrap anything. Select the UV texture and the particle UV panel. Go over to the material of our pure Cezanne. I'll turn on transparency. See, turn the alpha and the specularity down to 0. Now let's head over to the textures, and let's not add a particle texture but a normal texture for the material with blend, and let's call it fade.blend so we know what's up. We need to switch the colors by choosing a ramp, because it starts from the left and ends to the right. So particle lifetime is actually defined in this case that the part of the texture that's on the left is the young particles just born, and the part on the right is the particles that are near death. And yeah, let's make them fade out from the middle on, put it to ease for a nicer fade out, and yeah, mapping should of course be UV. The layer is the one that we have chosen, and of course the influence should be on the alpha. Yeah, and that's it. Now, when we render, let's render it from the beginning, let's say at frame number 9. We should have fully opaque material, and at the end of the animation, the material should be completely transparent. So, first test, yeah, all fine. And now let's go up to, let's say, from 230. Okay, all fine. And now let's render again and see how the shrapnel is looking. And it should be nearly transparent now. And yeah, it has worked out pretty fine. Everything is fine, all cool, and it's looking now. The fade out is looking pretty much better than if you just use a fade out like in a video sequencer. And you can also choose this if you got a scene in the background. You can have only the particles fade out, but not the background. So really, really, really cool. And yeah, the tutorial is finished. And now let me show you a few examples I rendered for you with different settings for the turbulence and field and the particles, so you can get a grasp of how things are working. And yeah, the preview and the ones I'm showing you now got 400,000 particles. Nyan in his reel uses 4 and 8 million. So he must either be a guy with unlimited computing power or a lot of dedication. And yeah, have fun. Maybe hit me up on Facebook. There's a BlenderDiplom page now with all the news, so you don't miss a tutorial, or follow me on Twitter if you want to stay informed. And yeah, happy blending.